So rude of me to start my long form videos without even giving you guys a proper introduction. So here we go. My name is Ebony Brown. I am a celebrity fashion stylist and a union costume designer. And for those of you who don't know what a union costume designer is, it simply means that I design wardrobe for film and television. My number one medium right now are commercials. So if you watch TV, I know most people don't watch TV, but if you do, you will see my commercials on pretty much every single day for like the last 4 years. I've done over 100 McDonald's commercials, famous footwear lows, pharmaceutical commercials, you name it. And as far as my celebrity career goes, I started out in celebrity styling, I would say like 15 years ago. I quickly got out of it. Once I realized costume design, A, paid more money, and B, you don't have to deal with the drama of a celebrity, I definitely focus more on costume design. I do come out of retirement for celebrities if it's a very, 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 very good, promising person. Like right now, my celebrity roster is pretty minimal, and that's by design because who has time to deal with it, especially when you realize you can make a lot more money on the other side. In addition to that, I do have a nice little niche community of tech billionaires as clients. That's really cute. Seeing how they live, child. I've thought I've seen rich until I've seen tech billionaire rich. It's a different, actually, that's not even rich, that's wealth. That's wealth, and it's on another level. Then I also do wearable art costumes. I design wearable art costumes for the Wearable Art Gala. Have you guys heard of the Wearable Art Gala? Miss Tina knows, Beyonce's mom has one every year. And each year is the theme, either it's Renaissance or The Lion King or whatever the theme may be. And I'm the person who designs a lot of the costumes for the people who attend the Wearable Art Gala. So I do a lot. I do a lot. So let me give you a bit of a backstory about me. Hold on, let me drink my tea. When I pull the tea out, it's about to be tea, so stay tuned, honey. ABC. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, born and raised, and I love my city. If you are from Detroit, I need you to tap in. What up, doe? I love finding my people from Detroit. And when I was 18, I wanted to move straight to New York to become a songwriter. My mother was having no parts of that. As you can imagine, she's like, I am not letting my 18-year-old daughter move to New York to try to get into the music industry. So she pushed that down really quickly. So I had to go to college. And I say had to because I didn't want to go. Okay, here's the thing. I always knew my career would be in art and entertainment. There was no doubt in my mind. So for me, I didn't see a reason to go to college. But now, looking back on it, being in the entertainment industry for so long, I am so glad I went to college to get the social skills I needed. I also have a degree in psychology. And baby, when I tell you how much I need that dealing with these celebrities, it helped me so much when trying to just understand why a person does the things that they do, um, why a person may have a certain level of insecurities, and just how to deal with that. That's how you know you are doing exactly what you were put on earth to do, when you would do it for free. And that's how I feel about styling and costume design. But that wasn't my first career. Okay, let's go back. Once I graduated from college, I moved straight to New York. My initial dream was to become a songwriter. So I went to Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, graduated in psychology, and the second I was done, I moved straight to New York. My mother tried everything to get me to stay in Detroit. She found me jobs, high paying jobs too. I remember she found me a job that paid $80,000. For somebody who's in their early 20s, $80,000. I said no. It was a no for me. And I'm going to tell you why it was a no for me. When you are the type of person that has a unique skill set, and that skill set is your passion, and you're driven towards making that happen, nothing can stop you. There was nothing that was going to stop me. There was no amount of money that was going to convince me not to follow my dreams. None. Because I would have had all the money in the world and I would have been unhappy. See, for me, being a stylist, being a costume designer, I would do it for free. So let's rewind. When I graduated college, I moved straight to New York. And my dream initially was to become a songwriter. I have been a writer since I was a kid. I've been a published author since I was in the fifth grade. Okay, humble flex. But it was because I wrote a poem and it won a statewide contest. And because it won the contest out of the entire state of Michigan, it was published in a book. So from there, I would just write songs about the report card, school, my friends, whatever. And I would create like dance routines with my friends, the whole thing. So that is what I thought I would do for the rest of my life. I moved to New York. I got myself into the music industry. And I'm not going to even sugarcoat it and skate past it because I hate when people are asked, well, how did you get into the entertainment industry? And they just say, I moved to New York and then I just got into the music industry. It's not that simple. So I'm going to break it down to you. When I moved to New York, what I did, okay, first of all, I'm huge on manifestation. If you don't believe in manifestation, I am not your girl. This is not your page. But if you do, you will know that the power of manifestation is so real. So when I moved to New York, when I was planning on moving to New York, I didn't know anyone, not one person. And that didn't bother me. I didn't care. I met one person maybe a few months before it was time for me to move to New York. I had already made the plans, but I met one person, a girl who lived in Harlem, my sis, and it just so happens she also had dreams and aspirations of getting into the music industry. So when I first got there, I ended up moving in an area called Teaneck, New Jersey. And if you know anything about Jersey, you know Teaneck, New Jersey is literally where so many celebrities live, especially ones that are in the music industry. Now, I couldn't have just known this off the top of my head. This was all by the power of manifestation that I ended up in the right area. I believe in that wholeheartedly. So now that I'm in this area, I am organically meeting people in the music industry. And then I'm organically ending up in the studio once I tell them that I want to be a songwriter. You see how that works? And through my friend that I met who also wanted to be in the music industry, we were able to find out where all the music industry parties were. And let me tell you, we crashed them all. We were not on anybody's guest list, but you don't have to be on a guest list to crash a party. All you have to do is walk up to the door very confidently. Do not stand in line. Whatever you do, don't stand in line. You walk past the line. You walk straight to the front. And because you are walking up with so much confidence, 9 times out of 10, they will let you in. And that's how we did it. So now that we're in all of the parties, we are literally networking our behinds off. Me personally, I never approached or wanted to approach any of the celebrities because I knew they couldn't really do anything for me. The music producers and the record label execs and the record label owners. That's who I approached. And then through meeting the music producers, I would go to the studio with them, I would write songs, and that's how I got myself into the music industry. So I lived in New York for about 7 years before moving to LA. And I'll tell you what made me move to LA. I was working with a music producer and he had just signed a label deal and he wanted to run his label out of Los Angeles. And he asked me to move to LA with him so we could write songs for the artists. And I really assumed I'd be in LA for about 3 months. That was 20 years ago. Literally 20 years ago. I thought I would be here for 3 months. For the first, I would say 2 years, I kept my condo in New York, in Jersey, in Teaneck, New Jersey. And I just flew back and forth. So this is where it gets juicy. Now I'm living in LA, and y'all, my favorite artist in the entire world is Faith Evans. Hands down, there's no one better to me. So what happens? I'm going to take you back to the power of manifestation. A friend of mine in LA is a hairstylist, and I would go to her hair salon to get my hair done. Guess whose hair she also did? Faith Evans. Not lying. I cannot make this up. Cannot make this up. Faith. Oh, wait. Let me take you back. Let me take you back to New York because there's something that I'm totally leaving out that's a major part of this whole story. When I was living in New York, Virgin Record Store in Times Square was open. So if you know about that, you're as old as I am. But Faith Evans had a record signing at Virgin. So I walked my happy behind over to the record store and I stood in line for 3 hours to have my CD signed by Faith Evans. But not only did I stand in line, I shot my shot. So when I tell you guys what I did to shoot my shot at Faith Evans about being a songwriter, y'all are gonna laugh so hard. It's like low key. Actually, I'm not embarrassed by the story because this just shows that I was just gonna take my opportunity and it didn't matter if I was prepared or not. So I wrote a song and then I typed the song lyrics, printed them out, and put them in an envelope. I didn't even make a CD. I had no track, I had no music. I had typed song lyrics, printed out, and stuffed in an envelope. So as Faith was signing my CD, yeah, I said, oh, by the way, I'm a songwriter. Can you read my song? I couldn't even ask her to listen because there was nothing to listen to. Ask her to read the lyrics to my song. And she took the envelope. Now, nothing came of that. But I'm telling you that story to lead you up to me eventually working and writing for Faith Evans. So the moral of the story on that one, don't be afraid to shoot your shot. Do what you have to do and don't worry about being prepared. Don't worry about it being perfect. The universe will work its way out. So back to LA. Let's go back to LA. I'm getting my hair done at the same salon Faith is getting her hair done at. And so now I am just in very close, intimate quarters with her. And we'd see each other all the time. And if you're wondering, no, I did not mention anything about me giving her that envelope. And one day when I was getting my hair done, Faith was recording right down the street from the hair salon. Right down the street. What are the odds? And my hairstylist was like, hey, let's go to the studio. Now, mind you, I also never told her I was a songwriter. I kept it all quiet. It just didn't feel appropriate to do that at the hair salon. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be that weird fan to make her feel uncomfortable when she got her hair done. So I was never going to bring it up in that light. But when we were in the studio, it was time to bring it up. But y'all, can I tell you, I was so nervous in the beginning. The first few times I went to the studio with Faith, I said nothing. I literally said nothing. I was so excited. I would sit there and I would honestly feel like butterflies and smiley faces were floating around in my stomach. I know it sounds so juvenile, but there's no other way to describe how I was feeling sitting in the studio with Faith Evans, my favorite singer in the entire world, who I stood in line 3 hours for to sign a CD and hand her typed lyrics of my song. I just couldn't believe this was my life. So I was just sitting there in awe, honestly. But eventually, I got the nerve. We started talking. And then I started writing songs with her. And as a result, I wrote 2 songs that ended up on one of her albums. And because of those 2 songs, I made it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yes, yes, baby. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Let me tell you how that happened. The 2 songs that were written, Faith listed Notorious B.I.G. as a producer. So my name is literally on a song with Notorious B.I.G. What? Like, what do you mean? This is not my life. Seriously. And in 2020, Notorious B.I.G. was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And because he's inducted, his entire body of work went with him. I actually had to sign a release for the songs that I'm on with Notorious B.I.G. for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like, yeah, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. After that, I was in the studio writing songs for Fantasia. And her manager then asked me to become her road manager. Oh, very important part. Cannot leave stuff out that's important. Remember the friend from New York who also had aspirations of getting into the music industry? By this time, she was also living in Los Angeles. And she was working for Fantasia's manager. You see how that works? The one thing I can tell anybody who's interested in getting into the entertainment industry, music, fashion, any of these very difficult places to navigate, your tribe, your community is more important than anything else. It's literally who you know, not what you know. Who you know will take you further than your talent. So when it came time for Fantasia to go on tour and she needed a road manager, my name was recommended. And that's how I became Fantasia's road manager. So now I'm on the road with Fantasia. That was fun. Being on tour is so much fun, I'm not gonna lie. And while I was on tour, the record execs kept asking me to be a stylist. I'm not going to say they were asking me to be her stylist, but I'm saying they were asking me to be a stylist. You know what I mean? Also, to back it up, whenever I'd go to the studio, the record execs would ask me to be a stylist based on how I dressed coming into the studio. Now, mind you, you're not going into the studio with heels and all that on. So it was very much sneakers, whatever the case may be, very comfortable. But I guess my swag, my aura, my riz, whatever it was, got the attention of the label execs, and they would ask me to be a stylist. They said, you know what? You really need to style the artist. I said no for 3 years. 3 years I turned it down because I was like, I'm a songwriter. I am not a stylist. And that's not what I want to do. Although fashion came to me naturally, it's just not what I thought my career would be. One experience that really sticks out to me, there was a meeting about what Fantasia was going to wear to the Grammys. It was her manager, the record label, her stylist, and me. I actually don't even know why I was there because I was a road manager. There was no reason for me to be in the meeting, but I was in the meeting. So as the stylist was going through the clothes and the options of what Fantasia should wear to the Grammys, everything they pulled out, I didn't like. And the things they left on the rack are the things I liked. But again, that wasn't my job. I was the road manager. So I kept my opinion to my damn self, as I should. Baby, tell me why. The record exec says, you know what? The only person in this room with style is Ebony. So that's the only one I'm listening to.
No, 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 no.
What? What do you mean? all the blood rushed out of my face because I knew in that moment I had options. Either tell the truth about what I thought as far as the clothes they were choosing, or side with her manager, which technically I should do because I was the road manager. Like, you never go against the home team, right? So the home team for me was the manager and the stylist. The record label was different. I wasn't supposed to side with the record label, but y'all know I don't follow the rules. We never ever followed the rules. So I answered honestly and I said, the dress over there, that's the one she should wear. And out the corner of my eye, I saw her manager literally lighting my ass on fire for saying that and not agreeing with her. So then immediately I go, but honestly, too, I also like the purple dress. I tried to clean it up. But at that point, the damage was done. It was too late. After that whole debacle with the Grammys, it occurred to me that I would not keep getting these requests to be a stylist if God wasn't putting me in a position to be a stylist. I realized by constantly saying no, I was standing in my own way and I was blocking what God had in store for me. And it was that moment when I decided, you know what? I'm going to be a stylist. So I had my first little test shoot in New York, and oh my God, AJ Crimson. AJ Crimson, baby, RIP. The legendary makeup artist, AJ Crimson. I called him. It was the middle of a snowstorm. And I had this little girl, like I think she was like a Nickelodeon girl. I went to Bergdorf Goodman and I bought so much stuff with my credit card because I didn't know anything about studio services at the time. And we did a photo shoot. We did a little test photo shoot. And the photos came out kind of cute, in my opinion. I was like, okay, yeah, I can do this. So when I decided that I would do it for real, guess who I called? Guess who my first client was? Mm-hmm. Faith Evans. I had already been working with her at this point. I had already written songs with her, and the timing just couldn't work out more perfectly because the album we worked on was released and now she needed to do appearances. So Faith was my very first celebrity client. And I know it doesn't typically work that way to where your first styling client is a celebrity and you don't assist, you don't start out that way. But remember, I started out in the music industry. So I had already sort of worked my way up in the entertainment world. People kind of knew me by this point. It wasn't like I was starting from scratch. I just moved from songwriting to stylist. So now I'm styling Faith, and this goes on for a few years. And then I started asking people about costume design and getting into film and TV. And can I tell you something? This was so discouraging to me. I would ask all of the Black stylists that I know, hey, what's going on with costume design? And why don't you do that? And the answer was the same. It's just so hard to get into the union. Everyone said that. Everyone said that. It was so discouraging. But for me, I love a no. I take a no as a challenge. So I knew I had to figure out how to get my way into that world. So I answered a job post to be an intern on a movie. So the very first movie I worked on was Dope, the one that Pharrell Williams produced, a cult classic. I'll tell you, I cannot make this stuff up. God definitely likes me a lot. He loves me a lot. Like, he literally paved the way for me. Like, how is that my first movie instead of some like random low budget thing that you find off Craigslist? The first movie I'm working on is Dope. I had to beg to be on that movie though. I had to beg to intern because the person who was doing the hiring for the interns, she saw my resume and she's like, okay, wait, you've styled all these celebrities and you want to work for free? Why? She couldn't understand. And I said, listen, I am interested in the film and television world. I don't know how it works. I've never stepped foot on the film set. So I want to learn. I am here to learn. And I got the job. So when I was working on Dope as an intern, I learned every single solitary job there was to learn in the wardrobe department. I learned how to work the truck. I learned how to be on set, even though I wasn't supposed to be on set. I learned how to be on set. I learned continuity. I learned how to do pulls. I learned how to do returns. I learned it all. And then the next call I received about a film and television project, I was hired as a costume designer. Now, I'm going to be honest. I didn't really know what the hell I was doing to design an entire film and be the head of the department. So I had to hire reinforcement. Guess who I hired? For my very first movie as costume designer, I hired the costumer from Dope. So he was my boss technically. I was his intern. And a few months later, I was his boss hiring him. This is why I tell you, be nice to everybody. You never know where a person will end up. And just because somebody is an intern versus the boss, be nice to everybody. You should be nice to everybody anyway, but never treat people less than because they have a lower position. And he didn't do that to me, which is why I hired him when I became a costume designer. And I needed him because I had no knowledge of what I was doing. Both Dope and the made for TV film I worked on came out in the same year. So in June of that year, I am sitting in the movie theater, watching Dope with my family in Detroit, watching the credits, seeing my name, Ebony Brown, intern. September of that same year, I am in the house with my family watching a movie on TV, and in the opening of the movie, it says costume designer Ebony Brown. So essentially, it took me less than a year to get into the union, whereas everyone discouraged me and told me it was going to take years upon years upon years, and it's so hard. Never let a person project their fears onto you. Had I done that, I would have never tried to get into the union. And that brings us to today. Union costume designer, I still style celebrities, and I do wearable art costumes. And now that you know a bit more about me, I hope you'll stay a while and let me know what type of content you want to see from me.